Yeah, thank you very much, Sam, for the introduction. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I think this is spanning the world. Thank you all for joining us today. A number of people attending seems to really demonstrate the fact that we do have challenges and we're all looking for best practices. Today, to really support me and actually to drive the discussion, I have 4 fabulous experts, and I'm looking forward to today. So to add to Sam's introduction, I would say please make sure you ask your questions at any point through the presentation, through the discussion, I should say, and feel free to ask your questions. We have some questions already set, but hopefully I'm sure you'll have many more, and I'd like to go through as many of those as possible. A very quick introduction. I am Olivier Choron. I'm the CEO and founder at PureChannel Labs. We are driving brand engagement through social media advocacy programs for channel partners, for our platform Social On Demand. We drive engagement through our channel portals, through the product called Portal On Demand, and of course, something very important for us, we drive targeted communications to partners and sometimes through partners through our engine called News On Demand. But really, I'm only here to be the moderator, and I'm delighted to have with me some fabulous panelists. We have Diane Paternoster from Red Hat. Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Diane. Hello.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good. We have Justin Turner from Motorola Solutions. Good afternoon, Justin.
Hello, Olivier. Hello, everyone.
We have Michelle Graff from Ideal Channel. Hello, Michelle. Michelle is there? Yep. She's pretty on mute. And finally, we have...
Yes, I'm here. Thanks. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
No problem, Michelle. Thank you. And finally, we have John from Carbonite. I'm delighted to have you, John. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Good. And as I say, I'm Olivier Choron, CEO at PureChannel Labs. Really, before we start, and we're going to try to be as quick as possible, what I'd like to do is make sure you understand who the panelists and experts are. Dan, would you like to give us a couple of minutes about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I can do even less than that. Obviously, all the information's on the screen, but hello again, everybody. So, as Olivier said, so my name's Diane Paternoster. I've been in marketing for about 30 years, and I spent the last 15 completely dedicated to IT channel marketing. Currently working for Red Hat, and I've worked in similar roles at VMware and Akamai. And as it sort of says here, I have worked with larger organisations and also some smaller organisations in terms of sort of getting them set up across Europe, and that part of that was also building channel relationships for those companies, really when I was working as a marketing consultant. So that's pretty much it.
Well, that's pretty good. Thank you, Dan. Justin, would you like to do the same?
Yes, thank you, Olivier. I'm Justin Turner. I work at Motorola Solutions. I should say Motorola Solutions is not the mobile phone company, but the B2B company selling mission-critical communications and radio networks to police, fire, ambulance, and many other commercial markets around the world. I've been at Motorola for about 10 years. I came in through an acquisition when Motorola bought a company called Symbol Technologies. And prior to that, worked at 3Com. I started my career, actually, coincidentally, with Olivier at Gartner as an analyst.
A long time ago, hey? Thank you, Justin. Thank you. Michelle, time for you to introduce yourself.
Wonderful. Thank you, Olivier. As Michelle Graff, I am currently advising early stage and a few handful of late stage technology CEOs and founders on building out their channel go-to-market and operations. Previously to being independent, I built and ran the channel at 2 early stage technology companies, and they're now both public, Palo Alto Networks and then Pure Storage. And prior to that, I ran global channel marketing across Symantec, coming in through the Veritas acquisition. I am in the channel because I love that it touches all aspects of the business, from sales and marketing to product ops and across support. And I know Olivier and team from being a very, very early adopter of Pure Channel apps. I think it was maybe back in 2010 when we started beta testing the Social On Demand with Palo Alto Networks. So thrilled to be here, and hopefully able to answer some of your questions today.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Michelle. And yes, that's a long time ago too. John, nearly last. What do you do?
Yeah, so I head up channel sales and marketing here at Carbonite. I've been here for a little while, not quite as long as some of the other folks have been at their companies. Right now, doing a lot of stuff to really get the channel engine fine-tuned over here at Carbonite. So going through a lot of the stuff that and a lot of conversations that we'll be talking through on this call. Previously, over at Kaspersky, I ran channel marketing and programs and built up their program as well. Definitely enjoy it. Working with the partners. I've actually been on the partner side as well for quite a while prior to getting onto the vendor side. So enjoy the perspective of both sides.
That's fabulous. And this is me. I'll do the last introduction. Not only do I run Pure Channel Apps, it's an enterprise software organization. I've also spent more than 20 years in the channel marketing, and I've just realized that between the four panelists and myself, we have over 100 years of channel experience. I run channel programs for many companies as well, as I have a spare job, which is running a channel marketing agency in the UK. But that's enough. That's enough of introduction. But hopefully everybody, you get a feel for the fact that hopefully you're speaking to someone who either are in your shoes or have been in your shoes or facing the same challenges that you've had. What I'd like to do today is go through this kind of menu of topics. I am not certain we'll go through all of those topics. Depends how the discussion goes. If we don't go through all of them, maybe we should organize a second webinar, or maybe you guys should ask the questions and we can all answer separately after the webinar is closed. But essentially, we're going to start with partner recruitment. And typically, I see organizations that don't do any recruitment. I see organizations that do a lot of recruitment, like some you see on screen. This is something I picked up, I believe, last week, and you see advertising from a number of organizations looking for partners all the time. I see organizations that have a consistent partner recruitment campaign. I see some that do partial. So let's start with the questions. Diane, in your organization or in the past, how do you do partner recruitment? Do you proactively look for partners, recruit partners? Do you run programs at certain times or always?
It's been a bit of both, actually. I think with the companies I've worked in, it kind of depends on the objectives, because in some instances we've sort of been full up with one type of partner, but we might be recruiting them in another area. So yeah, I mean, we sort of run recruitment events. We work with distributors, for example, to go and recruit partners. We've used our partner account managers to go out and recruit partners, really sort of right across the board. And then I think, and maybe you'll touch on this afterwards, but the most important thing is, regardless of what your recruitment strategy is, whether you're actively doing it or just ad hoc, is just to make sure the onboarding process is correct. The way that I look at it is a bit like having a customer on board and having a customer lifetime value. You need to make sure that you recruit the right partners and that they have a partner lifetime value as well. So yeah, I guess long answer to a short question.
No, that's good. I mean, and John, I'll take from there. Dan said you have to recruit the right partners. Now, what's worked best for you in the past in the different organizations you've been working with? What kind of campaigns, what kind of recruitment, and what kind of partners?
Sorry, Olivier, is that to John, to me?
Yes, it is to you, John, yes.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, so I agree. I think it depends on what kind of partner you're looking for and what kind of company you are. As a software company, when I was at BrainShark, we were very focused on getting agencies and learning providers that could resell much more of a kind of an application platform SaaS program. And so that was very targeted, where we would look for events and opportunities to go out and find such partners that might be interested, as well as outbound campaigns to specific lists, whether that be in email form or whether that be in telemarketing. in telesales from a more of a, a vertical, or I should say more of a horizontal play where we're not going after specific verticals like at Carbonite and at Kaspersky. We use a number of different avenues to reach out, and I think, they could be through our distribution partners for sure. Great opportunities to work with those folks. Number two would be online media, such as what you're showing here on the slide. I think whether it's CRN or other properties can be a great way to, as long as they're very targeted at the reseller or the solution provider market or MSP marketplace, depending on what you're going after. I think for me the big piece is the ongoing effort once you've actually got a name to continue to drive activity and then have the follow-up capabilities to engage with those folks as they show interest. And I think that's where whether it's a telesales portion of the team or the actual channel sales managers for their territories, depending on the level of activity that we see. So lots of stuff, and so anyway.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you mentioned a number of activities. So is there one specific one that's brought you in the past the best results, or is it really a mix of?
Well, I think it's a mix of. I mean, certainly when we're in an event, whether it's a distributor's event or a that's very targeted at the market we're going after, or whether it's another third-party event such as the channel company or companies like that will put on different events. What's really interesting as well from an event perspective is you're still going to meet really good partners at customer events too, right? So I think those type of activities certainly give you the opportunity to engage with a partner firsthand quickly. But from an activity perspective, we've got a lot of inactive partners as well. So I think the ongoing content syndication and email activities to help identify potential partners or resellers or MSPs that may be interested in what we have to talk about is important. And just having, again, a really good follow-up mechanism is critical to making sure that you're getting the ROI on those activities.
All right. Cool. I was going to ask you one more question before I ask Michelle some there, because the other panelists want to jump on this one. Have you ever done recruitment campaigns through social? Is that part of the mix? Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and I should have said that, especially considering the host.
No.
I'm joking. No, because I've been an active user of Pure Channel Apps at Kaspersky and beyond, and having a channel set up for our partners to go out and work with those folks around the content. I mean, these folks, the resellers are interested, and the partners or potential partners are interested in the content, and they really want to see someone that, or they want to work with a company that's providing that good content out to the marketplace. And so certainly just from a from a perspective of thought leadership, but also reaching out in terms of using it as a way to extend our reach around webinars and other recruitment activities that we may have going on. So absolutely.
Cool, fabulous. Now, Michelle, I mean, let me ask you a question. Should vendors, when they look at recruiting partners, should they take a very targeted approach, trying to really narrow down who they want and speak to just them, or do you see it's more to kind of a sweep all approach and more untargeted approach? Do you have any experience? Which one works best?
Yes, and like both Diane and John, the answer is it does depend. But I'll take it further than just depending upon the type of company you are, whether you sell to the SMB, mid-market, or enterprise, because certainly that's going to depend on how many partners and what type of scale you need to hit your numbers and your goals. But also it depends on the maturation of the company that you're at. So if you look across the landscape of the different types of traditional channel partners, you have the VARs, you have the DMRs, the direct marketing resellers, the global system integrators, service providers, and cloud providers. And if you're an early stage technology company, you're more likely going to want to start with the smaller boutique and regional VARs that are going to enable you to have more feet on the street, technical expertise, and every 3 to 5 years that's what they do is bring in new technology because they know that they can make money for a couple of years before you get too big on helping solve your customers' challenges with that new emerging technology. As you get, and depending upon the product, obviously if it's something that can be very scalable very fast and it's more of an inside sales, you may want to go to a direct marketing reseller like a CDW, SHI, Insight right out of the gate. But you do have to have a very structured go-to-market plan with those folks, and you have to understand what the sales play will be. It will cost you money because you will have to pay to play to work with many of those types of partners as well. And then I would say later stage maturation of companies as you grow and become more of a larger enterprise, you're going to have much more traction with the global system integrators like the Wipros and the Didatas and Deloitte, etc. But they probably won't really start recommending you in and taking you into big takeout deals until you have $50 to $100 million in revenue under your belt as a vendor. Yeah. So targeted or restrained, I think you need to be targeted in the types of partners that you're going after. And once you define that, you could probably be a little less restrained on who you're going to bring in. Certainly don't get stuck on partners that are selling your competition. If they don't want to come in early or they don't want to work with you, there's plenty of other partners out there. Cut them loose. When you start ankle biting at them from another channel partner, they'll come back around and want to work with you. And I'd say then, from what works best, I think you have to do both. As John said, you have to do, a multitude of different types of campaigns, but internally you also have to work top down and bottom up, which means you need to have executive sponsors from your company working with the partners that you really, really want to bring on board and be in your go-to program. And you have to have the field working from the bottoms up and helping to demonstrate the wins and the success out in the field. One little nugget that I'll end my answer with is that I do find that in the enterprise technology market, that going after the technical person at your partner is the easiest way to win a new partner and recruit them on board. Once you get that technical evangelist, it's much easier to have the technology validated internally at a vendor, at a partner, and have their sales reps start selling. So that's kind of a large overview and from high level. Certainly, if we have time later on, I can go into more detail.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you very much. That's great. I mean, I'm going to add to this. Having run campaigns for a number of customers before, I found the very, very targeted approach actually doesn't work because you have to find those few companies and they have to be ready at the time that you're ready to work with them, and that may not coincide. So I always find, like you said, you do target, you do have obviously to know what the kind of audience you're looking for, but you have to be broad within and find people and hit them at the time that they're ready to be. And I found that those kind of broader campaigns seem to be bringing some gems. I've done it before with Gigaset, Jabra, and a number of companies where you have to find those gems at that point in time, which then enable you to do more recruitment because then you get full support of the organization. So, yeah, I agree with you, Michelle, there.
Yes.
Dan,
and never forget to ask your customers who they work with, because once the customers tell you they're partners, that becomes part of your targeted list.
Absolutely. So, Dan, I've got one more question on that topic. And by the way, everybody on the call, if you'd like to ask your questions as we go through, please do so, okay? Diane, John mentioned sales teams involved. I was going to say, in the past recruitment campaign you've done, has your sales team involved? And if so, how involved have they been?
Yes, they have. I mean, ultimately, they're the ones that have to support the partners. So even if you do some kind of recruitment, maybe through distribution, ultimately your sales team, and I talk sales team, I'm talking obviously channel sales. I'm not talking, your direct sales. it's important for them to be able to follow up on, if let's say you've done, for example, a recruitment activity with partners, you've got them on board, you need those guys to go out and obviously then follow up on the leads. What's worked well in the past is having an internal partner sales team. Doesn't have to be huge, but maybe a couple of people that are absolutely dedicated to onboarding. As I said right at the beginning, onboarding is absolutely critical. So that conversation that they have with you as a vendor is, that they're going to form that relationship, they're going to form that image of your company, and that's why it's really important to make sure that those people are really clued up and they represent your company well in those first conversations that they have with a partner. So, yeah, very important.
Thank you very much. So I agree, and actually it coincides quite well with the next discussion point here, because first of all, already we've discussed recruitment, and I think every single one of you has mentioned, it's no point in recruiting if you can't onboard properly. And to your point there, Diane, I think having a channel sales team or inside sales team involved means that you can take them from the recruitment phase to the onboarding phase. So what I'd like to start this discussion is something I found again very recently from RelayWare, a document, a flyer that said, well, the 30 days of your engagement with a partner are critical, and they recommend obviously it looks pretty straightforward 30-day planner with the type of activities to do from the day the guys come in and registered on the portal to hopefully a point where they are very successful with you. So, John, onboarding partners, I know you've talked about it before. I mean, have you found that a challenge, and how have you addressed it in the past?
Well, it is something that's critical. And it's something, in my view, that's critical to do in a very consistent manner across your partners. And the reason I say that is if you don't have a process in place, then it gets done in a lot of different ways, and there's no real way to then start to drill down and determine what's working and what's not working. And for sure, all partners that sign up won't go through your onboarding process the way you hope they will, but at the same time, if you can engage with them to do so and reward them or incent them to do so, then I think the engagement will go up. I think I implemented on the RelayWare system as well as integrated with Salesforce and Marketo a 90-day, so I think the first 30 days are certainly important. Sometimes the partners don't work on the same schedule we do, so I put in place a 90-day program that added some gamification to it as well and rewarded the partners for actually getting through the different stages, being the first week, the second week, then the last 2 weeks of the first month, and the second month, and the third month, and of course the high-level online informal learning was heavy in the first month, and then it immediately got out of the gate engaging with the channel sales team or as well to reinforce why they signed up and all the benefits, and so I think working through that process that really we actually got to a pretty decent level of engagement, and we started to be able to track where the partners were and how quickly they were moving through that process. So it's critical. That's when they're hungry. That's when they're obviously interested in the relationship. That's when you got to get them going, and you're going to weed out the folks that really aren't, as I think we talked about earlier on this call. There's not everybody's going to be at the same level, and so I think by having a good onboarding program that allows you to measure how partners are doing, you can really start to identify those gold nuggets out there that can help you grow.
Good. Thank you very much. Now, Justin, you've been very quiet. I've kept you apart here, but now is your time. What have you done at Motorola or previously in the first 30 days that's different from what you've done after? You focus on something specific?
Well, the first thing I would do is actually go minus a few days, because I think a successful onboarding starts with the application process. the right application process is going to correctly identify a new partner coming into your program in terms of their business model, the way they want to work, and also profile them a little bit, capture some of the key roles within the organization, because it's very easy to think of a partner as a company and forget that there are individuals within the company. There are salespeople, marketing people, technical people, executives, pricing managers, finance folks, and so on. So through our application process, we profile some of those things. Now, I have to be a word of warning here. Over the years in different companies, I've seen the application form get longer and longer and longer. So you have to guard against, not making it too long. So keep the form as simple as you can, but capture enough information so you can correctly place the partner in your program, and then the onboarding really starts. Actually, similarly to the way John described, we don't so much have a 90-day or a 30-day plan. What we put in place was a program is a checklist based on the type of partner you are and the role that you have. So there are different checklists. And the checklist talks about getting started, exploring, and growing. So we actually do say that getting started should be done in the first 14 days. And in that part, we identify, based on the partner and the role, the types of tools and programs that they want to know about. Download our app, maybe do the basic sales training, register for the sales intensive program, log into the partner portal, those sorts of things. And then as we get further on into what we call, the explore area, we're encouraging them to get further into the training, read some of our vertical playbooks, and visit the other resources that we have to help them go to market. And then eventually we get to the grow section. And the grow is, well, let's take a look at the promotions. Let's start looking at the marketing enablement tools and programs that we have to help them go to their market, generate leads, and grow their business. So we let them do that at their own pace. Let them decide, based on their checklist, how quickly they want to go through the get started, the explore, and the grow.
Like that. Yeah, I like that. Thank you very much. And obviously it's working, right?
Yeah.
Good. Have you got people that fall through the cracks and people who are not interested? And I guess that's good news, but people who don't want to be onboarded?
I mean, when the application process is done, then we require a number of key contacts to be submitted. So it's always possible that a partner is, an individual, is not so interested, but that shouldn't be the case, right? Normally these partners are interested to join and learn, and we monitor how they are accessing the resources on the portal. So, but yeah, I mean, you can't please everybody.
Good. No, of course. Michelle, now, obviously you're working with different companies there. Have you found that there's still many companies that take the approach of, partners registered, partners have access to the portal, and off? Or have you seen some really good examples of a proper onboarding process that's structured like what we've talked about?
So I'd like to say that I have seen some great ones, but the reality is, and I think speakers that are on this call are validating that it can be the Achilles heel for most organizations. And I've seen that at both very small and very large companies. The number one reason that partners tend to kind of get lost post-recruitment is that there is not a well-oiled, say, channel sales playbook that spans not just channel sales, not just channel marketing, but across sales operations, across support, across enablement, across training. So I recommend to companies that I work with that from day one, look at what that life cycle looks like. And I think John talked about it, and one of the other speakers, that you need to have a process of what is going to make your partner most productive. And that's going to be different for different companies. But it could range from anywhere from, day one, getting into your portal, learning about deal reg, day two, getting trained, day three, learning about marketing programs, et cetera, et cetera. So I have typically, in both Palo Alto and Pure Storage, and then with some of the companies that I work with today, I leverage the internal marketing operations platforms that already exist. And just like nurturing a customer, once they come on board and you want them to make sure that they're using the product and then you also get expand business from them, you want to create an automated drip campaign that goes out to every user at your partner organization. And so if on day one, the first thing that they need to do is get into the portal before they can figure out how to get training, then you need to make sure that you're getting them access to that. If on day 15, you want to have them being sales trained, you need to make sure that they have all the information. And it's very difficult to do that manually through checklists. I find that things fall through the cracks and slip. So if you can create a 120-day nurturing drip campaign for every new user that comes on board from those partners, you're going to get better results. Now, of course, email overload can be a challenge, but you can start to at least track as to who's actually responding, who's not, and then you can pinpoint where your weaknesses are. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, Michelle, because one of the best practices I have, and I also want to reassure everybody on the phone that we can't all do 90 or 30-day processes that are, as John mentioned, are integrated in Salesforce and integrated with Marketo, and it's quite difficult to do, right? Especially when you do it globally. I remember, and we still run it, a program for a large PC vendor, a networking vendor, a very simple process, whereas once they were approved as a partner and after their registration, a quick series of emails, not like your normal, hey, you registered to Partner Portal, log in here, but a series of emails that followed that said, right, if you're interested in sales activities, this is it. Actually, the first email was, this is us, the company, this is what we stand for, this is who we are, here's the links within the portal where you can find information about us. And then there's a couple of, in fact, a series of 5 emails spreading 2 weeks that kind of helping them through the sales process and helping them through technical training and there. So it's in line with what you say, Michelle, and also to reassure everybody on the line, we don't have to, or we can't sometimes do everything, but we need to start with something to help. Now, John, you mentioned nice tools, integrations, Marketo there. How do you do this globally? Have you had that challenge before, and can you onboard partners the same way globally? Do you have to do something different? How does it work?
Yeah, so great question. I think what we were able to do is build a framework, as you said. It's not a simple undertaking. I think actually RelayWare took some of the principles that we used in creating the program and built it into the product. So maybe there's a head start there. But building a framework that was then flexible enough to accommodate changes for the different regions, because courseware is going to be different, programs are going to be different depending on where you are, what's important to a partner, and how you operate with those folks is going to be different, whether you're working with actually directly with the reseller or your work is more through the distributor. So there's going to be a lot of, in language too, right? So all that stuff's going to be a little different, and for me, it's all about, there's going to be the curriculums that you put together, the overall structure of the program should be the same. It's just a matter of what are the modules, what are the components that are going to go in there. And if that framework is in place, it should be pretty simple or less work, I should say, to then make it specific for the region that you're working with and those partners.
Okay, good. Well, thank you, guys. So let's move. The menu of for today's webinar is a large menu. So let's move to the next topic. So we talked about onboarding. Now, let's say we pass those 90 days. We're then in a period of, as Justin said, growth, where we're trying to maximize the potential for the partners we've just recruited and onboarded. often I'm asked the questions, why are my partners not selling more? And as research shows, well, it's quite tough. Incentives work, training takes a while. So Justin, how do you maintain engagement with your partners? Is it just communications? Is it certifications, incentives? What does it take?
I think it's many of these things. Communication is absolutely part of it. You have to inform your partner base about the programs and tools and promotions and incentives that you have available. So of course, emails, newsletters, your portal. I've seen in some companies and including mine in one of the regions, we have an app because our partners like to consume information differently, maybe via email, maybe the app is more suitable for them. So communication has to be a part of it, obviously. It can't just all be electronic, so we try to engage in person as well. So we enable our channel account managers, our CAMs, with tools that they can take to their partners. We have events, roadshows, large, bring all the partners to one location events that we might do once a year, advisory councils. So these kinds of things we do as well. And yes, incentive programs that might be aimed at the sales rep, the kind of, sell, earn points, redeem for prizes or credit card or whatever it might be. Incentives aimed at the owner, typically kind of trip-based incentives, that's quite common. And there may be incentives aimed at the company, so rebate-type programs, whether they're trade-in programs or growth rebate programs. So I think it is about informing, it is engaging in person, it is motivating the company, the sales rep, the owner, and hopefully with all of these things, if the tools that you have to enable them are easy to use and they see a return on investment through using them, I think with all these things, you try to drive engagement.
Yeah, so it's difficult, right? A lot of things. So, Diane, because there's so many things to do, maybe, do you, in your organization or past organization, have you focused just on your top 20% or 5%, or are you trying to run all of these campaigns, which Justin mentioned, for all? And how does it work for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of obviously segmenting. So you've got the one-to-few and probably the one-to-many, and then maybe even some one-to-ones, we're obviously using different parts of the mix. So everything that Justin mentioned there, those are all things that I've used in the past, still do today, of course. I think a lot of it is about building the relationship. So you would build a relationship very differently with kind of the masses than you would maybe with the strategic partners. And maybe for that top echelon of the strategic partners, it's about, that's really getting them engaged. So it's face-to-face working with them in terms of planning, it's QBRs, it's putting together joint value propositions. You'll have more regular updates with regards to, phone, email. They're probably in your office, you're in their office. You've probably got some kind of executive mapping that's going on, so your top executives will be mapped to their top executives, getting them onto advisory councils, getting them into workshops, making them feel that they're very much a part of your organisation. So you really wrap your arms around them and make them very inclusive. Obviously you can't do that with all the others, so that's where all the elements that Justin mentioned earlier come into play. So the bigger events, the webinars, that kind of thing.
Okay, good. And now, Michelle, one question. Out of all of this, which is the one thing that really will help your partners favor your brand versus the others? Come on, trying to find the one thing. If not, I'll give you two.
So I think Diane really elaborated on things that are critical, and you do have to do all of those things. So there isn't one thing. But I'll go back to what I said earlier, which is, the negative, recruiting partners, try and get that technical champion. I do think that if, just like you put together a partner advisory council or you put together a marketing advisory council, if you put together a technology council, if you will, of ninjas, those become your evangelists. And so if you can build a group of core technical evangelists across the partner community, across all of your regions, you'll probably start to see business increase across those partner organizations and loyalty, because these heads of technologies, whether they're the lead SE or they're the VP of technology at a partner, they bank their career for several years on new technology. And once they buy in, they become quite bullish on your technology. And, obviously, if you're a great solution solving a good end user problem. So that's what I've seen has actually, I would say, taken some of our partners to the next level, is at the very top level. And it has to be going big. It's not just, hey, we're going to put you on some webinars once a quarter. This is, letting these technologists, evangelists come and work with your product management teams, get early access to roadmaps, feel like they're contributing to the features and functionalities in the product, and really making them feel like they're part of your technical team.
Cool, thank you very much. We're not even halfway through this deck there, and yeah, we're going to have to progress that. But John, I'm not going to leave you out on that one. In the past or today, are you running some type of training programs? And I'm not talking just about sales and technical training, but have you gone beyond and maybe looking at marketing training, a social selling program? Have you done that before? Has it helped?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I agree with everything that's been said around engagement, and I specifically like the engagement with the technical folks. I think having an informal training opportunity for the different segments of your partner base is critical. Whether it's and I think something that's regular is really important too, that partners just can start to, to expect when it's actually going to happen. So we run monthly webinar programs, for instance, and one is specifically for the technical audience, and it's run by our channel SEs, and it's every month, and it's a new content around the product, right, and what the engineering teams are going to be interested in. In terms of some of the other programs that we're using, absolutely. I mean, from a marketing training, whether it be social or just how to increase, your brand out in your marketplace. What do you need to be doing to be thinking about developing a pipeline of business? We see actually a lot of activity and interest in those training sessions, and I think it's great to have them online, but we see high interest in those, especially around social media. I mean, people are, the partners, I would say, are not all that educated on why or how they could use it, and so it's not only in terms of teaching them some best practices, but also giving them the tools to then go and easily, follow up and actually start a program on their own. And I think that's, if I think about marketing programs in general with partners, the vast majority of partners are going to be those ones that you can kind of get going and help them, are going to be with programs that you kind of what I call set and forget from their perspective, but that we can really measure and help them start to see the results and position them as the trusted advisor in their for their audience. And so that's where it's a combination of the tools, without a doubt, like Pure Channel Apps, but it's also about helping them understand how to use them and why they might see some really good benefits out of those.
Yeah, great. And by the way, John, if you have anyone asking for about social, give me a call, okay? But thank you very much. Now, we'll switch and we'll talk about partner communications. Now, you see in front of you a strange screen, and I'm going to do a little insert here because obviously, I think, John, you mentioned, and I think Justin mentioned, I think everybody mentioned communications is very important. But we all know that there's a lot of over-communication and targeted communication. So, as panelists know, this is something very close to my heart. Just this screen, what does it mean? It's part of kind of solutions we provide, news on demand, that not only delivers newsletters that are targeted to the audience or to your needs as vendors, but as you can see here on the screen, we do something a bit special, is we actually let the audience decide what they really want to receive from you. And not just the topics, which can be customized for your own liking, but we also let those partners decide when they want to receive the news. And it could be weekly, it could be bi-weekly, it could be daily, it could be monthly. It can be by topic, which means maybe that the sales guys want to receive things straight away. What actually may want to receive some technical information but once a month, because that's not his business. And this is my sales pitch nearly finished, but with News on Demand, we enable not only you, the vendor, to restrict your content to the right audience, partner type, partner tier, country, language, certification, whatever you have in Salesforce. It also lets the users decide what they want out of that there. So that's why partner communication is important. I agree with that, and that's why we developed this tool. Now, Diane, how do you do with your partners? How do you communicate with them? Do you run global communications program, local programs, regular programs, or is it all ad hoc?
Okay, well, pretty much done everything. So I think one of the challenges, I'll come back to answer your question in a minute, one of the challenges that you have as an organisation is there are so many different departments that need to speak to the partner, and they need to speak to them at different times. So you might have the technical support team would need to speak to them. You might have the guys that are managing, I don't know, MDF or something. You might have people that are managing finance, and obviously you've got your marketing and your sales. And I think the biggest challenge you have as an organisation, as a vendor, is trying to make sure that you're not overwhelming the partner. So I really like what you've got on the screen there. So coming back to how do we communicate, so some of it can be ad hoc for that reason, because you can't necessarily control everything that obviously all these different departments are sending out. But as a marketing team, or a member of the marketing team, always try to make sure that we channel as much of that information as possible into things like regular newsletters, whether that's monthly, quarterly, whatever it is. Trying to make it as local as possible. So generally what's worked well for me in the past has been having a global template newsletter where you get obviously the global news that you have to have as an organisation with the correct branding and messaging, but then being able to obviously put in things like EMEA type information, and then if necessary even further down the line allowing the local countries to take some of that information, localise it and put their own information in locally, whether that's events or whatever that is going on. So to answer your question, it's kind of a bit of everything, but I think, like I say, the challenge is very much how to streamline everything to make it easier, obviously, for the partners to consume, so not everyone's overwhelming them.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Now, Michelle, do you agree? I mean, do you find your customers struggling with that, the format, the frequency, the content? How do you see that? Or
so so I'm here. Communications is so broad, and I think the key is consistency. I think setting expectations out of the gate so that you know how to measure what's working and what's not working. So if you're constantly changing your communication strategy and having random communications monthly or weekly or quarterly, I don't think you'll ever really pinpoint and find what's working for your organization. You do need to build in flexibility, for those very important communication needs that come up, time to time, getting in the upper right-hand quadrant of the MQ or something like that. But I think, setting out using different tools, whether those are customizable news updates that come from corporate marketing or that are customized by the channel field sales team that can be sent out to partners, as well as social syndication. I think that has to be pretty consistent, and once you get a good cadence down, you can see where your gaps and your holes are. But it's going to depend upon your audience and the content that you're communicating. One critical key is many marketers will communicate what's important to them, i.e. about my product, as opposed to what's important to the partner, which is how do I make money and solve my customers' problems. And so the combination of consistency and speaking to a partner language and what a partner is important to a partner, I think, are the two biggest components.
Yeah, no, very true, very true. Justin, to conclude on that topic, I could literally spend days on this. How does this work for you? What do you see the challenge? Obviously, you're looking at it at the global level. How are you managing your partner communications globally, considering it's that important?
You know, I think a lot of what I would say would be the same as what Diane and Michelle have said. You know, consistency is important. Like Diane said, drive what you can into a newsletter so that you're not sending emails every day. We definitely have seen in the past complaints for partners who think they're getting too many emails. Although you have to take that with a pinch of salt sometimes, because when I really dug into it, it turned out that they were getting emails from our distributors as well, and thinking that they were all coming from us, and that wasn't the case. So, you know, so they do get a lot of communications, but not and it might be about you as a vendor, but they might not all be from you. They should be recognizable. You know, in today's world of emails that are not genuine, you want to make sure that yours are recognizable when they go, relevant and targeted as much as possible. So a bit like the profiling I talked about a while ago, try to ensure that you're communicating the right information to the right individual. So if you have the opportunity to personalize your messages based on the type of partner or the individual, you should do that. And then, you know, finally, I would recognize that not everybody likes to receive information in the same way. So if you have the option to offer complementary methods of communicating, so yes, email is a good one, but we do have an app. You know, download the app from the iStore or Google Play, and get your information that way if that's the way that you prefer to receive it, and all the other things that we've talked about before. And you know, the only real challenge I would say that I would highlight is there's never enough budget to translate as much as you would like. In Latin America, we can do that. It's 2 languages. Outside of English, fairly easy. We can cover a lot of Asia with 3 or 4 languages. But in EMEA, I struggle. I just and I know I would increase my readership if I could afford to translate into more languages than I do.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we're going to have to move on. And by the way, we're going to bypass one of the menu items we had today. But John, marketing. Already we have someone ask the questions: do you use through partner marketing tools? Do you see value in these technologies? What you see on the screen is a couple of screens. One is from us, it's our social on-demand platform for social syndication through partners or through employees, and a couple of others you may see as through partner marketing platforms, and there are many others like our partner. Partner company, partner marketing. John, what have you done in the past when it comes to joint marketing, co-marketing? What's worked best? Simple copy blocks and images, full co-marketing tool, concierge services, social syndication, web syndication. What's worked well for you? What do you recommend?
Yeah. Yep. So I've seen this from both sides, on the partner side as well as on the vendor side, and you know, there are a lot of platforms that are available, and a lot of tools even within a single platform. And again, the more complex they get, the less they get used. So
right.
How do you know? So from a broad usage perspective, I really, again, kind of going back to that, anything that you can do to provide a way to set and forget for the partners, you're going to get probably the opportunity to get more partners involved. You know, from a social syndication perspective, we had when I was at Kaspersky, and I'm getting it. We'll be getting it off the ground here at Carbonite. We just had tremendous success because we already were creating a ton of really good content, and it wasn't content about Kaspersky, it was content about the marketplace, about the trends, about the latest breaking news, about those things that people are interested in reading about. And what that did is really help the avid social user out in our partner community add to their repertoire, and it also helped a number of people in our partner community get started, right? And not around the vendor, but around just what was going on in the marketplace. And then what was great about that is I mean, we reached, I mean, Olivia, you could probably tell stats more than I could, but the reach that we accomplished in terms of people that were using it, as well as then the followers through Twitter, through LinkedIn, and through Facebook was pretty awesome, right? And then we can
hundreds of thousands.
Go ahead.
Hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
That's right, and if you know in the 5% of the messages that we sent out where we did talk about how our solutions could help or drive people to an event was really provided a lot of exposure to that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So that's my viewpoint on that in terms of you know that we all have the typical stuff in terms of that we can do with partners through partner marketing, and again, the more complex it is, the less it'll get used. So,
yep.
That's my opinion.
Michelle, what have you seen work? Do you think partners have time to do proper marketing with their suppliers, or is it just cutting corners or forgetting about it? Have you seen something that works really well?
Yeah, so I think partners do get the short end of the stick, and we often say partners don't know how to market and they don't have good marketing skills, and that may be the case in some smaller boutique partners where you have maybe a sales guy doing the marketing or the front desk admin doing the marketing. But you also have some very mature partner organizations that have some very clever and creative marketing they do on their own. I would actually say EMEA is quite further along in that journey and tend to be a bit more creative than here in the US, but that's a story for another day. I think simplicity is very, very important. Something that's always on is very, very important for long-term adoption and scale. But I also believe that there are some things with the proliferation of all these different tools. If you can pick one that you really like and that you're comfortable with and that you think works for your organization, couple that with something that's very field-facing. So, for example, if you're going to do any type of online grid, Elastic Grid or Zimzy or some of these, co-marketing tools, make sure that your inside sales team or your SDRs, your sales development reps, are really bought into it and that they have input into the campaign, and then have them partner with your partners to do joint call blitzes and appointment setting so that you're leveraging not only the campaigns quarterly and the new messaging and things that are going out, but that you're also having a high touch after those tools are initiated out to the demand gen aspect. So if you can marry some of these syndicated tools with an actual field team, you get so much more power out of that tool.
Yeah, agreed. So simplicity is a theme that I think we've had all session right now. So I agree. Very good thoughts. We could spend a lot more time on joint marketing, and if you guys are interested, just please ask the questions now. We won't have time to answer. I'm quite worried about that. But similarly, we won't have time to talk about portals, and it's a shame. I had some beautiful screens of a portal we recently done for one of our customers that has some very cool features, very simple to use, resources, tailored, events tailored, meet the team, all of that. But we're going to bypass that. I just want to get to the end of this webinar without being cut off. La crème de la crème. I'm going to ask two of you guys, what is a single campaign you've run that made a huge difference to you and your partners? And Justin, I'm going to start with you. 2 minutes, 1 minute.
All right, I'll keep it short. So I think my favorite program was a mystery shopper or secret shopper program that we run. I liked it because it really connected the dots between the MDF and co-op that we provide to our partners and distributors, the sales conversations and go-to-market conversations that our CAMs were having with those partners, right the way through to the menu-based plays and prepackaged programs that we had. And it did that because what we did was we would mystery shop their website, visit their website as if we were a customer, score their website on a number of, I think we had 52 different points that we scored them on. Then we would call them in, pretend to be a customer, make the phone call, and just assess how that call was handled, how responsive were they. We would make our own silent judgment about whether they were attempting to BANT, budget, authority, need, time, and timeline, qualify us. And then we provided that partner, well, the CAM, and then the CAM went to the partner with a report, and the report said, this is how you did when we visited your website as a customer. This is how you did when we called you it as a customer. And here's our recommendations about what kind of programs. And it really prevented the types of things where you had a partner wanting to do Google AdWords when their website was awful. It would highlight that and focus the attention on the website first, and the Google AdWords could come later. So that's my favorite program for, I think, connecting the dots between some of the go-to-market different programs that we had for our partners.
Fabulous. I'm so worried about cutting it or being cut off. I'm going to stop the call there. I'm just going to suggest to everyone, if you have any questions, and to ask your questions, and we'll answer them offline. I'm also going to mention the channel meetup event, something that we're organizing with a number of organizations. We have a couple of events coming in Menlo Park in USA in June 28th, and in Egham in the UK on October 6th, where you'll meet a number of the panelists there, but other of our contact in industry. So if you guys have any questions for me or anyone there, you know where to go, and you know also where to visit us. I just wanted to finish this by saying thank you very much to Diane, to Michelle, to Justin, and to John. Thank you for being fabulous experts today. I hope the audience has learned something new, which is the goal. I hope the audience know where to contact you. And you know, we had a kind of quite nice Q&A today. Really, this is the top of the iceberg, as you all know, so we may do that again. But thank you very much, Justin, Darren, Michelle, and John. And on that note, I would like to thank you all for attending today. And Sam, I think it's time to stop the recording. Thank you very much.